Hey, this is Owen. If you're comfortable, leave your first name and state at the sound of the tiny truck backing up.
Hi, Owen. This is Mary from North Carolina. And I always love how you say, you can have a conversation with a conservative. You might not think they're right, but conservatism isn't necessarily the problem. It's conspiracies and stuff. I was just wondering what you think of kind of the trend that, most conservative leaning families, if their child rebels, they end up liberal. But you very rarely hear of a child of liberal parents rebelling by going conservative. And I was just wondering if you would articulate what you think the reasoning behind that is. Because I think it's a real interesting topic. Thanks. Love the channel. Best wishes to you guys through the holiday season. Bye-bye.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Actually, I have a counterexample to that. In Kylie's family on her mom's side, Kylie's great grandmother is very liberal. She's super left wing and she watches MSNBC and CNN, mainstream media stuff. She's been liberal since day one, basically. Her husband was a union worker for the railroad, and unions were traditionally Democrat. They always voted Democrat. And so he did too. And so did she. It was a Democrat family. Not a liberal family, not a leftist family, but a Democrat family. Which, is better than nothing. I'll take it. They're not extremists or any of that stuff, so that's a plus. But Kylie's cousins, they actually lived with her and their dad. They all lived in the same big house. And they are full-blown Trump supporters, both of them. I think they're terrible. I don't want to get into it too deep. But yeah, they're just awful. And they are deep, deep Trump supporters. So right there would be a counterexample. I think if we took a look at the data, we could find actual trend lines and find out the accuracy of that. I'm not really sure. It's possible that it's more common for people in left-wing families to come out of it right-wing. I don't know. But there is a resurgence of right-wing extremism and fascism right now taking place in America, and actually I think worldwide it's taking place. So somewhere along the line, more people are turning far-right fascist or authoritarian than they are moving to the left. That's a concerning trend that I hope to reverse.
Hey, Owen, it's Miles from Arizona. Uh, I'm curious, which of the Trumpian evangelical hate preachers is the most hateful and most extreme? If I had to pick one, I'd go with Greg Locke. But what about you? Yeah, that's really all. Keep up your work, man.
Yeah, appreciate it. That's a really interesting question. You got to realize I watched some of the underground people, so but I'll name one you probably recognize. I would say Steven Anderson, probably from the Faithful Word Baptist Church. I would say probably him, or anybody from his group, Tommy McMurtry and Matt Adair and others. There are a whole bunch from his kind of congregation or whatever that are very, very, very toxic. Also, Matt Powell, is that his name? I think his name is Matt Powell. Matt Powell is another one that's real vindictive and just spews toxic bile at people for seemingly no reason. He just hates speech and slurs and all, just the whole nine yards. It gets real, real ugly. So I would say those two people are up there. Or those three people. I'll say Steven Anderson, Tommy McMurtry, and Matt Powell. Those are my three top worst hate preachers of all time. Greg Locke is bad too, and I think he holds the same beliefs as those people, but I think he may curb it a little bit, or maybe he just focuses on subjects that aren't as... Steven Anderson focuses more on homosexuality. Greg Locke obviously doesn't like the LGBT community, but he mostly focuses on conspiracy theories rather than hating gay people. So that may be the disconnect. Maybe Greg Locke is equally as vile. He just doesn't touch on those subjects as often. That's a possibility.
Hey, this is John from Virginia. I've been wondering, in your videos you mention a lot about Fox News and other kind of Republican outlets propagandizing to people. How much have you thought about their underlying motivations and whether it's more about just pushing their agenda or whether specifically in the case of Fox News, it might be about the monetary gain, that they might get more money from pushing people further to extremism. Thanks. Love the show.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Well, that's the thing, isn't it? I think that Fox News started out as 100% in the beginning. People who were just in it for the money or just trying to push the country further to the right to try to move the Overton window further to the right, which is the window of acceptable public discourse. There was a period in time where saying that we should have, AK-47s on every street corner was unacceptable. That was ridiculous. Nobody would want that. But now it seems to be unacceptable to discuss any kind of gun reform of any sort. That was largely the doing of Fox News and the leadership there over the past 40 years or so. Maybe I would be willing to say maybe even over the past 50 years. That's what Fox News has been doing, trying to move the Overton window over further. That's what happens when an extremist group gets louder. It moves the window of acceptable public discourse closer to the extremist group. It will certainly not get all the way to where they want it to be, but it'll get it a hell of a lot closer. And Fox News accomplished that. Now, here's the real issue with what's happened. When Fox News started, it was 100% people trying to do that. Now, I don't think that's the case. I think Fox News has real, die-hard, true believers on their staff. I don't think Marjorie Taylor Greene is playing an act. I think she believes this shit to the bottom of her heart. We have screenshots of her discussing QAnon-related stuff on her Facebook page and wherever else, other places. I think she's a true believer. And now that we have true believers working at Fox News as anchors or as congressmen or whatever, that's the even scarier part. The grifters don't have to push the grift anymore. It's taken on a life of its own. That's fucking scary. Alma Tadero, Copeland was shaking, angry, smiling because he was on camera and was not able to tell her off as he would have done it if there was no one there.
You said that you don't like to fly commercial because you don't want to get into a tube with a bunch of demons. Do you really believe that human beings are demons?
No, I do not. And don't you ever say I did. People, I love people. Jesus loves people. But people get pushed.
Oh, yeah, and actually the following week, he went to his church and gave a sermon, and in that sermon, he talked shit about Inside Edition and that woman that interviewed him for like 5 straight minutes. I edited the clip down to show it on one of my podcasts, but I didn't actually end up using it for anything. It's in my edited clips somewhere. One of these days I may show it. I would have to go in search of it now. Actually, I'll tell you what. Fuck it. Why don't I see if I can find it real quick? I'm going through every single Copeland video I have here. Or clip.
The media.
Brother Copeland,
There are.
So what do you mean the I?
So we came in and sat down, and they came out, and a person came out and said, are you Kenneth Copeland and your group? I said, yes. Would you come with me? Mr. Cash would like to see you.
Johnny Cash.
Okay. And he didn't say, hello, how are you? He said, will you guys pray for me? I'm telling you, my knees are hurting me so bad.
Effectively bragging about how high profile and important he is and how great he is, so on and so forth. That's his personality. Not really the type of personality you'd expect to see in a man of God, but here we are. This was part of the clip that I was talking about.
Why, Brother Copeland, you own a $45 million airplane. Yeah, but you don't know what I paid for it. Nowhere near that. But it's the same airplane.
That's part of the clip. There was like a longer 5-minute section to it, but this is bad enough, dude. Seriously? You're seriously putting your hands in a Mr. Burns, like, kind of shape here and smiling, got this shit-eating grin on your face, talking about how expensive your plane was and how great of a deal you got on it. Come on, man.
And Gloria designed a new interior for it. Sonny boy. And a lot of you partners put us in it. But she didn't know that.
I don't think that makes it better, bro. I don't think that makes it any better, honestly. I really don't. I'm sorry. I think it's still pretty fucking bad, and I'm blown away that you don't see that.